in the selection of the party flag bearers turned into a nightmare of sorts. Welcome aboard. My guests tonight, Honorable 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐢𝐻𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐞 Barnabas, Member of Parliament, Buyaga West, lost to Namara in the party primaries. Well, we'll get into that. I'm also joined by Honorable Sana Opendi, Woman Member of Parliament, Tororo. This time she's been on the independent, but she won in the primaries. Frontliner Ofono Pondo, who is bidding to represent elder people, the older persons in Parliament from Eastern Region. Good to have you. Plus, the Secretary General of the People's Front for Freedom and Member of Parliament, Kira Municipality, our frontliner, Honorable 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐢𝐻𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐞. Ibrahim Nganda. Good to have you all. I'll begin with you, Honorable Tinka. Having lost the party primaries and made no show in the tribunal, has your political curtain closed?
I have to just laugh at you. I left Makerere University in '95 and worked for 10 years in public service and chose to join politics. The largest part of my life I have been in politics, and I find myself a politician at 53, leave the political stage when somebody at 86 is still weighing in for bigger positions. I find that not tenable for me.
So what is next for you?
Of course, there are many options that are available for me. Not to say that I disregarded what I saw in the party primaries, and I did not see any need. Although there are events that played that could not allow me to even think about what was going on. Immediately after the party primaries, I lost my mother.
Oh, sorry.
And I had to concentrate on the burial of my mother. And of course, time for petitions was running up. So I did not see any need of putting in any form of petition, even when I had serious grounds.
Why did you find it tenable?
I don't think that I would be crying for the death of my mother and find time to go and be counseled in the tribunal, because I have been there 4 times. They have taken me there 4 times from the time I started participating in the party primaries. Largely is about talking to you, you steaming off, and those who are like petitioning, steaming off, and being asked, can't you think about supporting the person who won you, even when he won you unfairly? When you see what happened in my constituency, the election was a fraud. I would not call it an election. Before I joined politics, I was a returning officer. I know what it means to organize a free and fair election. Yes, I'm a politician who in Africa knows that fairness is of elections comes to around 50%. Ours was not even 20%, was not 20%. It was skewed. It was a planned system, not to allow person called 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐢𝐻𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐾 Barnabas to win.
Who hatched the plan?
Of course, the one who won, the one who claims to have won, and he planned it with the district returning officer, who had set up a system already, because I got that information and reported to Tango Doi, and it was dismissed almost 1 week to the election time. When it was dismissed, he had already set up a system, because I got wind that he already had even a result declaration form before we held elections. They brought a copy for me where they had given me 30%. of the elections, of the result declaration form, they brought that immediately. I had been, you remember, towards the election time, I was abducted on 28th. In my history, I had never thought of such a thing. For me, I am an outspoken politician who does not participate in underhand methods. I will come to the TV and speak what I believe in to be right. I do not go behind to organize other activities, follow-up activities. And because when I was in captivity, they told me I speak too much. I speak too much, and of course so many things played when I was there. I knew anything was going to happen even during this other election. So what happened on election day, I was not surprised, where the entire establishment.
So your loss was predetermined?
Yes, yes. The entire establishment started beating up people online, lining up, removing them from my line.
That would be a very good ground for the tribunal to interrogate.
Of course. Even others, because you go to a polling station, somebody scores 119 and is given 519. 400 free votes. 400 free votes. Free votes. It's a polling station in Mhoro Trading, in Mhoro Town Council, Chisenyi village. He polled 119. He was given 519. I had all the credible evidence that would even force an overturning this election. But now, even if it would be overturned, they would be the same group of people that would organize the election. You are just there to brutalize your people. I said, there is another round where somebody walks quietly to the basin after being given a ballot. Because in that place, you are given a ballot. I have seen in some instances where they organize with returning officers, they are given more than one. But it is easier to see somebody who walks to the basin and ticks more than once. It is easier to see that one. It is not easy for you to carry 50 ballots and put them in the box. Well, unless you bring...
I'll hold you there. Honorable 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐞, does 𝐻𝐶𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐶 scenario raise a number of questions and even poke holes in the entire system, the NRM party primary system, which gives flags to candidates?
At least 𝐻𝐶𝐬𝐻𝐶 was not brutalized. At least they just cheated.
No.
𝐻𝐶𝐬𝐻𝐶.
Do you know that during that time, during the election time, my whole vehicle almost somebody came with a panga and they started cutting it. They smashed every windscreen, every windscreen. After the election, I was treating 48 patients. Okay. Even others this morning, as I was leaving my place, some have not recovered.
Thank you. Let's hear from Honorable
They are still carrying wounds of the election.
Honorable 𝐬𝐻𝐶𝐬𝐻𝐶.
Yeah, you see, the 𝐻𝐶𝐬𝐻𝐶 was burying people, shot dead. For you, at least you are treating, so you should thank God. I met the Honorable 𝐬𝐻𝐶𝐬𝐻𝐶 at Parliament today. Frail.
Has he recovered?
Frail. He has a cut almost the length of his head. He told me he was operated in Mbarara because he had 3 clots, and they said transferring him to Kampala would be risking his life. He's even struggling to speak. They told me he was at Parliament. They told me, he actually told us with a group of other MPs that under normal circumstances, no MP would allow his head to be open in a facility-type country. And he said, I didn't have the luxury, because they said either they open the head remove the clots or you die on the way coming to Kampala. That's why I said that 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿 should thank God. Him is treating other people. Yona was in hospital in coma, I have been told, for 3 days. But also we thank God that he didn't die. I try to raise these matters in Parliament because it is foolish to think that this violence will stop in NRM elections and it will not be imported into the national elections. When I saw General Kayanja crying, when I saw, as I said here recently on one of the shows, Ndunguse, who was Kaihora's deputy, being roughed up, first for him I was celebrating because that's how they have been treating us when they are in police. But for the country it is sad. So really what happened in the NRM primary, because I'd wanted the Parliament at least to investigate the aspect of violence, to find out who was deploying the military, who was deploying the police. You saw Kayanja crying that they brought 50 drone. He said he was calling them drone 50. 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿 said in his case there were 40. We spend every year about 5 trillion shilling on strengthening and building our security as a country. So any MP who is sane should be troubled by seeing the military all over NRM primaries, seeing police. So, but one thing that I have never understood is for people like 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿 and 𝐬𝐻𝐶 to continue forcing themselves onto and into the NRM. They get mistreated, but after 1 week they are NRM. They're even more NRM than those who are mistreating them. You guys, you just have to take a risk. How can you continue being part of what you are describing? That they are bringing pangas to cut your vehicle, they are kidnapping you, the whole establishment were against you, but you say, no, I am still part of them.
No, but he's putting blame on the individual, not the party.
So that individual could not have operated in the same way. I met the MP for 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿. He told me in his case 2 people were killed. We are with him today at Parliament. It's not possible that that individual who was brutalizing people he has treated the 40 was the one operating in the same way, was the one operating in 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿, was the one killing. This is a system that has disintegrated. When you hear countries speak about warlords in Somalia and in other countries, it means the center can no longer hold. So the individuals have accumulated power around themselves, so they can go and dispense it the way they like. So that's where we are now. I spoke to friends before the NRM primaries who told me in Ankole and partly in 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿, for you just to think of being an MP, you need to have 600 million on your account. Now you need the military, you need a unit. You need the unit. If they don't lend you the one of SFC, either ghetto. So preparations for elections in Uganda, in some areas, means that actually the money is part of the preparation, but also you need the armed people. Because in the case of 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿, and I told you last time we were discussing this matter, you saw pickups on the social media, and the people were offloading sticks. They said the voting materials for Zimbabwe have arrived. And what was arriving were sticks in the pickups. Now 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿 told us the 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿 scored. So these things are serious. And when these colleagues, the OPEN, went for the NRM meeting, Museveni said, don't speak about things in Parliament, we are sorting them out. They are so embarrassed that they don't want to have a public discussion about the messy NRM election. And I saw the speaker. At every attempt I was raising this matter, she was stopping me, she was quarreling with me. These are internal matters. It can't be internal matters. We are spending this financial year we are spending 45 billion shilling on funding political parties. So there's nothing internal. These are public institutions that are supposed to make a declaration to Electoral Commission. But they have privatized public institutions, they have privatized the military. I asked the Minister for Defense to tell the Parliament whether a UPDF chopper had become an NRM equipment. Because it was operating in his area. He would go, use the chopper, because in a village, people will be excited to see a chopper. So it is hovering around the villages to correct for him people. Then he arrives in his convoy, the chopper leaves to go and correct. Yeah, the level of abuse, the level of impunity exhibited in a primary tells you that the state has collapsed. Now everybody is on his own.
Thank you. Honorable Sarah, of course you suffered the wrath of party primaries, much as you made it as an independent this time.
No.
Yeah, she's an independent woman.
2016.
She's NRM and she has won a flag.
Yes,
2016 she was
2016.
Yes, 2016 you came as an independent. But how would you analyze the quest for a party flag?
First, I must say that it's very unfortunate that we have seen violence increasing in these processes, something that was not there before. And as we move on, I think it is time for particularly my party, which is a mass party, to get back to the drawing board to actually find alternative means of selecting flag bearers. Allow me to take you back to where we started. Initially, in selecting flag bearers, members of the party would go and write the name of the candidate they wanted on a piece of paper. So if you don't know how to read or write, you would choose a person whom you trust to write for you. And I participated in those elections in 2010. The process was very transparent, and we did not have crooks by then. The registrars were very honest. The only challenge is that when it got to sub-county level, now like in my case, much as we had all the results declared proper and formally, the registrar at the district level was told not to declare me, and he disappeared after declaring all the constituency MPs. Now, unknown to me, in disappearing, then the manipulation came in. But fortunately, we had the original results from sub-county level. And at that time, the issue of getting the flag was not very competitive. People would come in to participate in party primaries because they wanted to go and serve the population. They wanted to represent people in parliament. Now, looking at 2016, I remember I proposed, and I am glad it was accepted, that since people cannot read and write, as you submit your nomination forms, indicate how you want your names to appear. So eventually we went into alphabetical order. So the names would be in alphabetical order. And then, knowing that you are number 1 or number 2, you can tell the people, tick box 1 or box 2. I was supposed to be the first on the ballot, yes. Unknown to me, the people managing elections at the center changed my name. And
you are Sarah Acheng Opendi.
I put Acheng Sarah Opendi. Okay. So, looking at the candidates, I was supposed to be the first. So I didn't bother checking, and I told the people, tick box number 1. Now, on election date, I was relaxed, only to start getting phone calls. What have you done? You were telling people to tick number 1, even putting radio announcements, box number 1. The people at the center knew. So they got the candidate they wanted and put as number 1. Changed my name to Sarah and put me number 5. So my people, I started running around. The first place I went to, I found women sitting. So they were happy to see me. I said, have you voted? That yes. What did you do? Box number 1. See how terrible it was. But remember, in talking about that, I had also proposed that let's go in for lining up. So at the NRM Delegates Conference, the lining up was objected to. But come 2021, it was accepted and we went into lining up. But now you are talking about the party flag. The party flag, it's very unfortunate that now we have more people wanting to join politics as opposed to engaging in any other thing. So the party flag has become so competitive.
And costly.
And in becoming competitive, it has become even costly. It is now like a do or die, which is very, very unfortunate. And that is why in the last NRM caucus meeting, some of us felt that can we discuss these matters? Not for now, but let's start the discussion now for the future.
Is it true that this discussion was thwarted?
Yeah, we were told we couldn't discuss now. We shall find another time. Because, first of all, you know, there were some people who would even raise matters, wanted to raise matters regarding the election itself. And yet the tribunal was sitting. So the president felt that let us have the tribunal conclude its business, and then we shall have another meeting where we shall sit and discuss matters of the party.
Do you believe in the tribunal? And did you ever go there when you lost the other time?
No, when I lost in 2016, we did not have a tribunal. Actually, if I may tell you my story, in 2016, we had by then 21 sub-counties. They tallied results of 19 sub-counties. 2 sub-counties were left. I was winning. And of the 2, I had won massively in 1 and received some votes. So in adding these, definitely I was going to be the winner. The registrar, on instructions of somebody, decided to abandon the tallying of results for the women, and they put my results, the women's tallying aside, started tallying for the men. So at that time, if you lose at that level, you appeal to the same person who organized the same election, who was Dr. Tango Doi, as the chairman electoral commission. So how do you appeal to the same person who removed your name from number 1, box 1, and put you as number 5? So I went to court. Unfortunately, court fixed my case for hearing in April, when the elections were taking place in February. So the only thing was to run as independent. And I ran as independent and won the election.
Yes, sir. How do we get to the heart of the mischief, the violence, and everything that has turned this party flag into a nightmare?
Well, the spokesperson of PFF, formerly spokesperson of FDC, has sought to do politicking to scare Honorable Tinka Simire and blackmail him. I think Honorable Tinka Simire understands very well the challenges, but consciously,
to scare Tinka Simire,
yes, he has chosen to stick with the NRM, notwithstanding those mistakes and even assault on himself. And so is the Honorable. I don't think they need your advice as to which party they should join. NRM remains the most popular and credible by policy, by leadership style. And this is reflected not just in the elections, in the everyday life of the country. So that's the reason why in spite or despite the challenges we have, many people will still run into NRM. Yes, including the reasons Honorable Sarah has alluded to. Probably now Parliament is seen as a sweetener. That's where if you want to get good money quickly, probably you go. And so it will attract people. But mainly, NRM remains the most credible political organization in the country. You may disagree with it, but that's what the majority of Ugandans say. And so many people come to look for leadership in the party. Yesterday, I was at the Secretariat, and then I crossed over to Plot 13, Tango Doi's office. I found two people, one from 𝐬𝐿𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐿𝐫, a man had run for councillor. 3. A woman had run for councillor 3, councillor for to come to a sub-county in Bujiri. And the registrars in these two different places had swapped their results. They had their declaration forms from the different polling stations, but in filling, doing tallying, like what Honorable Sarah has just said, and I think Asimre, your opponent gets 30 votes, and you get 75. Because the registrar has been compromised, maybe given money or a relative or friend, the registrar puts 2 behind the 5. So the votes become 250. Now, if you add the 250 plus 75, they become more than the people who turned up to vote. Yes. Now,
that must have been district councillors.
District councillors.
Because LOC3
it's just coming.
The election
so,
is just coming.
You can imagine, this was a mature lady. Councillors don't have salaries, but you can see by the time somebody puts transport to come to Kampala, to complain, to look for Tango Doi, look for the tribunal, looking for justice, clearly that person loves the party because they are not, she's not doing it for money in the council, because in the council there is no money.
Or they are simply desperate.
No. Not desperate. They love their party. She loves her participation. She loves her participation, and she feels cheated, and she's looking for justice. I think that's what motivated that lady. She's another lady, I think she's past 60. This other man is in his mid-50s, from Tungam, from different places. They were seeking justice. Unfortunately for them, they were coming to petition. The registrars took them in circles, and the time for petitioning ran out. Tango Doi cannot handle their matter because the result has been declared, because that's our rule. Once results have been declared, even if by swapping, Tango Doi cannot do much.
So registrars are accomplices?
Yes. So,
but where does it start from?
Much of our problems, no, there are 3 levels of the problems in NRM, or 4. One is logistical, where we don't do our internal processes well in time. Like, for example, we did the register until 3 or 4 days to voting. In that process, people of mischief took advantage. When we say mobilize people to come to NRM, some of them went to schools and registered children, school children. Somebody, if I am a phone from Muranda and I have influence, Muranda has a total population probably of 9,000. I fill the register 9,000 because I know they will vote for me. We have had that situation in our Toro there. We have the constituency of Dr. Tyler, West Budama South. It had 4 candidates for that constituency. Each candidate came from a different sub-county. In the NRM register, those
had 6. There were 6 candidates.
6 candidates. In each, wherever a candidate came from, they made sure that there was a maximum registration into the NRM register. And when you go and check the results, each of them won overwhelmingly.
Each capitalized on their...
yes. In one, his village, just one village, he got 2,000. They say, which village has 2,000 people? But that's what happened. And that happened in many parts of the country. Why? Because the process of registration, the credibility, the integrity of the register was compromised. The second one, our election officials. Of course, it's easier to throw stones at Tango. They say the buck stops with the boss. But there are registrars at village level, at sub-county level, supervisors who were compromised. In one case, I have been around the country. I went to a place, I think it was Teso, where somebody told me, I was an agent, I was a supervisor for a minister, and when I found in one polling station, the minister had scored 13. I said, how can you give the minister 13? He said, give me empty sheets. He filled for the minister, new results now. And he confessed to me that he paid each of the agents of the other candidates 30,000 shillings each, and said, now you bring your DRA forms, declaration forms, and put them in his car. Now put the agents, so that even if the candidate was to come to complain, he had already driven these people away to a far-off place. So there's that type of mischief. Then the other one, of course, is response. Even if you complain, like the one I've given Tungamo and Vijiri, even if you report to Tango Doi, after a day, there's very little he can do. Then, of course, the other one is interference by public officials who are not supposed to otherwise be part. They're supposed to observe from a distance, probably security breaches and things like that. And then they intervene. You have had this case of Rwampara, where it is now the RDC who said, you are not going to declare results. The RDC, his job should have been to raise complaint that, by the way, there's something going on which is likely to breach the peace, but not direct intervention. So those are some of the things. What I have seen from the tribunal is that there are mainly cases of swapping results, fiddling with the results. People stand in the lines properly, they are counted properly, they enter properly, but somebody fiddles with the election officials, agents of other candidates, or actually the tally. You probably saw the current speaker of Toro Council. After all the voting took place, she went to the tally center at the district. And on her watch, she saw the person supposed to tally writing for her opponent completely different things from, and she jumped. She's an elderly lady. She jumped, and the speaker, she jumped onto the person who was tallying, grabbed the fellow by the neck, and they started the fight in there. So we have a number of things that we need to sort, and for me, I agree with the president that our tribunal is more or less like a court of law. So if there is that process going on... Yeah, but given the time, imagine the time that the tribunal has had. No, we have the tribunal, but we also have reconciliation committees. Things that are just political in nature go to the reconciliation committees. And so you are asking whether these results from the NRM primaries are free and fair. For me, I would want to say, yes, they are. And to a large extent, leave outlandish cases. To a large extent, they tend to reflect the will. Why? Overwhelming majority of our candidates who have been given flags since 2006 elections have been returned. But there have been also quite a substantial number, because I think we have been having, on average, 30 to 50 people who participate in NRM primaries. They don't agree with the results, and when they go, they actually win. Meaning, in their case, probably the electoral process was interfered with in a major way, or probably along the way, the voters changed their mind. So, to me, to a large extent, yes, there's violence which we should never entertain. There's open bribery, which we should never, bribery of voters.
Alteration of results.
Alteration of results, which is fraud. But all those, and the good thing is that our elections are before the cameras, before the public. You saw cases, you saw cases where people were distributing money outside the polling station.
And nothing has been done to reprove.
But still, their candidates lost, meaning that actually there is a quiet revolution by the voters, that yes, you can come with money, but people can still vote the person they want, or you can even mete out violence, and people still stand firm. You see the one in Namutumba. And so, for me, the fact that NRM conducts its elections in broad daylight is a good thing, so that no one can hide the mischief.
Thank you. Honorable 𝐬𝐿𝐫𝐫𝐤𝐻𝐞, while you seem to diss the role and capacity of the tribunal, the president and chairman of the party has come out to express his confidence in this tribunal in resolving the impasse and the mess that was in the primaries. How do we balance this contradiction?
Because when you go like to court and you prove a case of bribery, just that one alone, the election is overturned, which cannot be the case in the tribunal. In the tribunal, where they look at those forgeries in the tally sheets, and they advise that the returning officer now, who is Tango Doi, Dr. Tango Doi, to declare basing on those statistics. For where you have a well-hatched plan, like in my constituency, I learned that the returning officer already has a result declaration form, and before the voting, I reported this matter to the Tango Doi. Dr. Tango Doi acts on this person. But this person has set up a system on the ground at the district level. Even when he's removed, the system has remained. He had already even had an induction that when, this is the induction he gave to his sub-county supervisors, and consequently they went in parish supervisors and village supervisors. This was the induction, that when you are counting the line of Dennis Namara, start with 50. When you are counting the line of Dennis Namara, there were 3 election officials. One who was either waiting at the desk, and 2 were going down to count.
So even if you are 10 people, there will be 60.
One is counting from front and another one from behind. Then they both of them have the same figure. They add it up and they count one person in 2 times. Then you find a line with children, just kids. They are counting them. They reach at some point, they are counting the hair, the bums, the children in the back. We got just confused. We got confused. That was not an election, it was a sham. It was a sham. It was a fraud. For me, I am known of accepting some level of violence, of rigging. So I can. But this was excessive.
You were accused in 2016.
This was excessive.
Of having meted out violence in the primaries. So is it possible that you got a bitter taste of your own medicine?
I have never organized any form of violence, but many times I prepare myself against it. This time around, I did not have time. One, I was abducted on 28th and taken hostage for 2 days. I am returned. My medical team demands that I must take tests to prove whether the porridge that I took when I was in abduction did not contain poison. They are carrying out tests. I'm missing a complete week. I'm running out of time. I ran to the constituency because then again I fall sick because I almost collapsed. because of what I had gone through. I am rushed to Buhinga Hospital. The consultants advised return to Kampala, and they are taking medical tests on me when the other people are going on with the campaigns. I find a system well hatched where the RDC, the DPC, all of them are working now with this system of NRM at the district level to make sure that the what I have just described happens. Well, if there is the vote, for instance, the village, I am saying a village, but very many villages. If they vote and I get a particular, number, they must make sure that the balance of all the votes, those people who did not turn up, are added on this person. Well, on this person. Well, so
if you've weighed the option of going independent, when you look back, do you feel all this hassle for a party ticket was worth it?
In my own assessment as an individual, what I went through, first of all, why would you abduct me? Why would you organize military men to do an abduction against me? For what? For what? It's not worth it. The money that I spent in the party primaries is not worth it. We have to revise this. Originally, as the Honorable Opendi described, it was a smooth election. Even when we were using, where I agreed with the changes, was when we moved from an electoral college to a universal adult suffrage within the party. And the writing was perfect. Again, doing the what she described, of course, it worked against her. But for me, it was still okay. Because these voters, even when they were illiterate, they would still write my name properly. But this thing of lining up, where children come and line up, where the returning officer, counts the bum, counts the head, counts the children on the back, counts even the children in then again one counts from front and another one from behind. They add up the results for one person. If NRM is going to stand like this, certainly, I love NRM. I joined NRM when after leaving public service. That was on 25th of September, 2005. But if this can continue, I don't think that I will return to this type of an election. This is not an election I would bid to go in.
Thank you. Honorable 𝐬𝐿𝐵, when you look across the aisle, it's not any better. For instance, in other parties, I'll give you an example of the National Unity Platform, whose fashion of doing things leaves a lot of questions. It has a lot of mystery. Do you imagine it's now time to rethink the entire system of party primaries and the quest for the national flag? In a couple of minutes as we take a break.
I think the trouble is that the law has gaps. Both the Constitution and the Political Parties and Organizations Act require a political party to be democratic internally, national in character and then democratic. But there is nobody watching over political parties. Because if the Electoral Commission, and I guess it is their job, because in the past we have had problems with parties not filing returns, especially the NRM. And the Electoral Commission is not deregistering parties. Because if you've set standards for compliance and there are parties that are not meeting that requirement, begin a process to have them deregistered. Have sanctions that are known that if you don't do the following, because you cannot say you prove your democratic credential and national in character at the time of registration where you run around to look for signatures, and then after that you can do things your own way. It is a requirement under the Political Parties and Organizations Act that when you are registering a political party, you must submit a copy of your constitution. Even when you are changing a line, you go to the Electoral Commission to change a line. But the Electoral Commission is not enforcing this. I'm not sure that every party must conduct primaries the NRM style, but at least there must be an agreed constitutional process that a party must follow, and someone must hold that party to that constitutional provision. But I think the way we are running parties, we run them the way we like, and everybody is watching.
Well, we'll take a very short break, and certainly when we return, we'll still be looking at the intricacies of getting a party flag. And why is it becoming such a huge nightmare? Good evening.
NBS Frontline. Are you ready to experience the ultimate in live events?
Can you sit? Can you sit?
From local to global, we bring you the most exciting events 24/7. Stay informed with live breaking news.
Habemus Papam.
Keep in the know of what's happening around you and beyond. NBS Live. Live and filtered and missable. Exclusively on Afro Mobile.
Imagine waking up to a dream where luxury meets tranquility. Welcome to Solana Lifestyle and Residences, a sanctuary of elegance where every detail is curated for your comfort. From impeccable security to serene garden pathways, Solana offers more than a home. It's a lifestyle. Now, your dream is within reach. Experience life at its finest. Buy your home today starting from just $142,000 US. Solana Lifestyle and Residences, now ready for occupancy. Live, work, play, and shop the Solana way.
This is nature. This is timeless. This is more than a destination, but a reinvention that will open your mind. The promise of spaces as extensive as your imagination. Filled with surprises, each moment transforms as often as you do, and a room to breathe. This is not a business as usual, but a new way to inspire, connect, and yes, build ideas. We are on a journey to make your gateway unforgettable. The perfect blend of leisure and adventures. Because it is not all about your destination to Kalangala Island, but where you stay matters. We are Brevard Sans Lodge.
Transform your future with Cavendish University, Uganda. At Cavendish University, Uganda, we are committed to providing you with the best education, state-of-the-art facilities, and experienced lecturers at all our faculties. Are you an IT specialist? Are you interested in artificial intelligence? Cavendish University is excited to introduce the Bachelor of Science in Data Science and Artificial Intelligence, where you will learn to harness the power of big data to drive innovation and decision-making. Are you a health specialist seeking to lead in the healthcare sector? We have the Advanced Diploma in Health Leadership and Management, equipping you with the skills to manage healthcare organizations effectively. Join us today and start your journey towards a brighter future. For more information, contact Your Transformative Education awaits. Success begins at Cavendish University.
Our city is drowning in a waste crisis. Floods, pollution, disease. The consequences are real. But there is a chance to turn the tide. The Uganda Environment Forum 2025, a powerful platform for change. Key stakeholders, urgent solutions, real impact. Be part of the solution. Partner with the Uganda Environment Forum 2025. For details, contact +256 200 330 222.
Welcome to Finns Medical University, the only specialized health sciences university in East Africa. Fully licensed, NCHE accredited, and approved for a charter, Finns is your trusted path to a brighter medical future. Now accepting applications for degree programs in Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery, Pharmacy, Lab Technology, Weekend Nursing and Midwifery, Medical Education, Tutorship, Diplomas in Nursing, Midwifery, Clinical Medicine, Pharmacy, Lab Technology, and certificates in Nursing, Midwifery, Pharmacy, and a bridge course. With state-of-the-art labs, a conducive learning environment, and real clinical practice, your journey to excellence starts here. Finns Medical University, saving lives, our passion.
At UNOC, we believe in safety.
NBS Frontline.
Welcome back. It's still the Frontline as we take a deep dive into the dreadful process of getting a party flag. Why has it become such a huge nightmare? Is it time to rethink the party processes that do not really conform with the credentials of democracy in and out? Honorable Sarah Opendi, the cost, the tension, the violence, the short-changing and everything about a party flag, is it worth it?
Well, of course, when you bring those issues, it's not worth it. But I think the weakness is in the law. We have the Political Parties and Organizations Act with a clear code of conduct which parties are supposed to abide by. But unfortunately, who is there actually to enforce that and ensure that that happens? If you talk about violence, it's clearly stated in the Political Parties and Organizations Act that every party must have clear guidelines of its own laws to govern, these processes, for example, of getting the flag. But we have seen intimidation, we have seen bribery, we have seen, all these irregularities that you're talking about. So for me, I think it's not worthy. And that's why some people stayed away, including ministers. We have ministers that did not participate in these party primaries. They have opted to sit back and wait for the general elections. But some of us still had hope that we may not experience these, challenges, and therefore we move on. And they are in certain regions where if you don't get the party flag, then your fate is sealed. You can't go to parliament as independent. So these regions, it is like a do or die. Of course, in my case, I've said before, I contested as independent, and I won. So it's my people.
How costly was it for you to run as an independent, having been denied a flag?
Of course, you are running against a party which had resources, because the NRM has resources. It brings resources to the village party committees, to the sub-county party committees. The president comes to campaign for the flag bearer. The president came to my district twice. And I would just sit there and see him campaigning, and I wish him a safe journey back. But of course, of course I would go to receive him. But of course I would tell him, okay, we would joke, and I say, Your Excellency, safe journey, but I'm going to defeat your candidate. So for me, I think I must thank my people, because I did not have the kind of resources. But I had my team. And even within the NRM party, people who knew that I had been unfairly cheated. So it's expensive. It's not worth it going through what the Honorable Tinka Simile and others have gone through. It's not worth it. But I think for me, I think the weakness is in the law. And it's very unfortunate that we are going into elections without electoral reforms, because we must improve on our systems whenever we are going into elections. Because every time you have elections, for example, now we've had party primaries. We know the challenges we have faced. Before you get into the next primaries, you must review and propose changes to better the system. That has not happened. We are even having SEC, which is going to tear the party even further. We have not discussed some of our, the party constitution. Some of us had amendments. I have amendments that I wanted to propose. But at what stage? Where do I propose them? So I think it is high time that we looked at the Political Parties and Organizations Act, reviewed it, looked at the gaps, and even found an independent team, an independent institution, away from the Electoral Commission, to actually oversee the political parties and how they go about their business. It's important. For me, it would be an issue.
In the aftermath, in the immediate aftermath of the NRM party primaries, of course, the president came out with condemnation and promising to take action. But do you see the president either using kid gloves in handling this menace?
In the party primaries, is not a president, he's the party chairman.
Yes, he came out as chairman.
Let me say, first of all, violence and the use of the army has been more dominant in Western region, I guess, because historically they have had a little bit of a relative dominance in the army. You remember the elections of 1994 CA? That Ntungamo was a no-go area. Ruhama was a no-go area on account of Brigadier Kamwesiga, Fred, and Augustine Rosindana. It was a no-go area there. Isinjiro was a no-go area. Ibanda was a no-go area. Ntungamo Kajara, where the brother of Major General Mugisha Muntu was tussling it out with a minister, Kwero Ndaruhemba, was a no-go area. Elections were postponed like 3 times by basically Stephen Nakabwai. I don't want to repeat, I don't want to, but the people who have relatives and friends in the army have tended to exploit that. I think we need the institution, the administration of the army, even this recent one. You saw a major, a lieutenant colonel, who went to interfere in the elections in Ibanda. Our side, the use of the army is sprinkled, is minimal. There's violence, yes, but violence where candidates and their supporters organize vigilantes, civilian vigilantes. I did not witness the case he's referring to, where now the Minister of Defense used the army chopper to go there, and as part, of course, when you do so, you are showing that I am the one in power, but I did
hovering all over.
I did not see because I have been out.
That is also prohibited conduct.
Yeah, but
you're not supposed to use government resources.
Unfortunately, when you made the law, unfortunately, when you made the law, you prohibited using public resources for the main election. That's the law.
Look at the political parties and organizations.
I can consider.
And so accessed government graders. 8 of them put his posters and they started making roads.
So anyway, that's one case on violence and misconduct using state institutions. I would not blame entirely the electoral law. NRM party constitution, which I participated in writing, has a provision, I don't know which schedule is, on code of conduct. There it actually provides for sanctions on a member, a leader, a candidate, a voter.
Including
yes. We have never, as a party since 2005 elections, we have never applied that code of conduct. And consequently, many mischief makers have gotten away with it.
Is it by oversight or?
No. I think the president, having come from the Bush days, I will keep referring because he has spoken about it himself. He says he bends backwards. He allows people to get out of their mistakes. Those who get out of the mistake will continue until somebody does it many times and then he gives up on you. In 2006, 2005, after we had the primaries, ministers lost. I think at that time, 16 ministers lost. Under the chairmanship of the then Minister of State for Higher Education, Simon Mayende, they formed a group. We had a meeting at Plot 10. They accosted the president. They insisted. That's where the president made that famous statement. In the father's house, there are many rooms, which many people took literally. And the consequence of that rhymes with what Sarah is saying. Now, there are people who come into NRM primaries, elections, even not seeking to, not coming for a win,
but to ransom the president,
to ransom the system. You have seen each time we have gone through election, the failures are either ambassadors, if they have been MPs, you have seen them, RDCs, presidential advisors. I think that bending backwards, flexibility of the president, which was really initially was for good intention, has been hijacked and is being abused. Now we moved away from other stuff, from electoral college, only for members of parliament for women and the electoral college. But we have kept for the others. Let me tell you what is happening.
To you?
Yes.
To your race?
The special interest groups, except the women, are elected through electoral college. On average, like mine, is about 400, 420 electors. All of them district leaders. In my case, 43 districts. So, you go to a place and the person you are competing with, like in my case, tells people how he's going to hire them 6 days before. How he's going to give them 1 million. And these things are captured in the media, but the party doesn't take interest. That goes on for I had initially thought it was youths, but I'm now discovering that even the older people, a candidate who has disappeared for the last 5 years now turns up and says, I'm going to. So, hiding, you remember what caused actually that change? One MP in Butareja took voters across to Kenya. Now, hiding a voter or a voter choosing not to come in time is not a criminal offense. But for the party, we should find a way of sanctioning. You candidate, when you know we are going to number in the morning, and you're going to take delegates who are supposed to be available for others to talk to, you keep them you give them whatever you give them, and you bring them in the nick of the hour to vote, you should be disqualified.
But this happened even for district chairpersons.
This is provided for in our rules.
The other thing is that they are doing, particularly in electoral colleges, they collect their national IDs.
Yes, and
they pay half the pay, and after the election, you pick your national ID with the other half pay.
With the balance.
Yes.
With the balance.
With the balance. So now
that's what happened in Kagadi. That is the type of the election officials.
So NRM has allowed the discipline to thrive.
We have allowed indiscipline to thrive. And I've said on this show before, I wrote it last week, I said, we need to get few people, high profile, and we make them example by instant dismissal and disqualification. You are a minister, you are seen disputing man at the vicinity of a polling station, or even a campaign rally.
Even using security.
Campaign rally. You should be disqualified. If you want, go and run in NUP, go and run in FDC, go and run in PFF, whatever you want. But we should disqualify you from being a candidate, and subsequently dismiss you from the party. I think if we get 2, 3, 4 cases, ministers, a sitting MP who has been there for 3 times and has done that, I think it will send a very strong signal. Like in this one, where I am now, and for me, although I'm campaigning in the East, I am telling my colleagues in the other regions and said, if your rival tries to do those things, keep on the watch. This election, we want the elders really to show a different example. And we hope we shall succeed.
I think you're expecting too much.
No.
Ask the Tinker Similes what they have gone through.
Honorable what I have seen in the NRM, now the principle leading is that whoever violates the rules more is the one who wins. No, but you who will obey the rules,
you become the villain.
Yes, that's what happens. For me, I thought the RDC, the DPCs, we are going to be neutral umpires, the returning officers. We are going to be the returning officer. I was shocked. I was shocked. Where RDC and the DPC are leading army men and policemen to beat people.
Honorable Semuju, you were having a big laugh while these 3 NRMs were narrating the experiences. Is it any better in the opposition?
The chairman climbed the wall.
Is it any better?
Why did he climb the wall? NRM had it.
It was a NRM.
You see, I only want to invite NRM people that unless we focus on the country as a project, you will have to pay a price one way or the other. When we had an election in 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐷, you saw what happened. The RDC is collected from all over. In one of the WhatsApp group where Ofonopona and I are, we have been asking ourselves, does the law allow RDCs to participate in elections?
No.
One of our colleagues had said yes, and here so Moses Weranga said no. But they were in 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐷. If you came to my area...
No, it happens in every by-election. Yes. Actually, they are collected from all over.
And some RDCs in my area are like NRM chairpersons. Can you imagine when we were opening an office of PFF, the RDC called the DPC, so the DPC came and he sent the OC of my area to ask me, why didn't you tell us when you're opening an office? I said, tell him to go to hell, that I should go to the RDC, to the DPC to ask permission to open an office for a political party in a campaign season. When collectively you are benefiting from the deployment of the state against us, you risk that when you are crying...
We are the ones complaining and raising it. We are not waiting for you to raise it.
You should be complaining when the state is deployed against and fair against any person.
Yeah,
if it is deployed against you and you complain, the rest of us will be celebrating.
Are you celebrating?
That's why I told you.
You're celebrating.
No, Tinka is my friend. I didn't want to be mistreated, but just because he's a friend.
But you are blaming him that he's mistreated, but he still remains in
I saw Ndunguse, who was a deputy to Kayihura, being roughed up, and I thanked God. I said, I will live to see this.
Yes. I think you're being callous. You're not being
but
kind.
Honorable Semuju, let us get this clear. It is not just Ndunguse. Many of us who are in parliament, who are senior government officials, we think that the rules don't apply to us. When you go to an election, a former IGP, a former brigadier, retired, please know that you're under the electoral rules. Don't go there and shove police officers guarding a polling station.
Yeah, but you see, Kayanja Eri, Major General, was not in Chotera, was not in Rakai where the elections were being conducted. He thought they would be conducted fairly. He was in Kampala and he was told they had cheated. I don't know, there's a relative or a friend.
He's a sister.
And he said,
he said, I am going there, I'm going there. I said, thank God. Even Kayanja, you who was following no process when you are arresting people and some being shot and others, because by the time Kayanja left Operation Wembley, it had started even debt collecting. I was in Ruzira with people who had been unfair arrested by Operation Wembley. So over debts, that if you want your debt to be corrected, you hire Wembley. So they will come and arrest you as if you were a terrorist, and then you end up in Ruzira. So it's not that it is better, and I want to come to the question you asked me directly, and I don't want to use NRM to shield our own failures.
Can NRM learn anything from you?
We have our NRM may learn or may not learn. I know in FDC we had elections before the NRM interfered with the FDC. We had credible elections. They become bad when we started insulting, but they remained the elections. There was no position that was ring-fenced. We went for each other in those elections. Some would win and then collectively would go back to build the party because it was meant to be a forum for democratic change until they brought their bad manners there. So the parties should be running from a party that is in power because that party has authority even over us. That's why recently they say now opposition parties should not get money. So they set the standards by being in power, but they also run the institutions of the state. Because as I said earlier, the Electoral Commission is superintending on parties. It has a duty to make sure the parties are democratic internally. But we have also used the advantage of the decay in NRM to cover up our own failures, in all the opposition parties. I want to see mine. We are lucky we are just 1 month old, so we are just a party under construction. But after the interim period, I will be fighting with all my energy to make sure that PFF is democratic. Like I was fighting within FDC for FDC to be democratic. Because you have no excuse. You can't use the NRM. You don't use tell us when they're in FDC, you cannot give what you don't have. If you are undemocratic, you cannot give Uganda democracy. And that's why NRM cannot. So the parties have a duty, those of us who want to get into power, to play by the rules, to be an example. But if we fail,
what is fishy about your processes in other parties?
You're asking what is fishy. Are there processes? That's a question you should ask before you go to whether they are fishy or not. I was in Tanzania. I'd gone to visit Chadema. In Tanzania, you are given a percentage of the affirmative action seats. The percentage that you get as a presidential candidate is the percentage of the women's seat that you will get. But women found it comfortable to go and contest under Chadema, an opposition party, than in the ruling party. Why? In Chadema, they set standards. They said if you are a professor, you have 3 points. If you have been in the party for 20 years, you have another 3 points. If you have, so by the time you go to contest in the elections, your fate is almost known. They said in the ruling party of CCM, they were choosing their mistresses and girlfriends and children and so on and so forth. So even opposition parties,
being accused of that.
They say because you see Chadema, Chadema is not shielding itself. It's not covering its own weaknesses. It's actually doing it better than CCM. So we should be acting and behaving better than NRM, maybe to give Ugandan hope that when we get into power we'll do better. I am not saying, so most of us are not doing better.
Okay, let's
better.
put parties on the pedestal. We've discussed the NRM specifically. Yes. Now, if we went into another specific, and that is the National Unity Platform, what do you make of their process of selecting, of finding?
I think National Unity Platform is now a big party. In my view, I think they should hold the party primaries. But they said in their constitution, they use vetting.
Yeah, but they say they are being encumbered by the state.
I haven't read. I don't accept that the state will stop you from holding. We have had the first time I came to Parliament, I faced a party primary, very serious one. The things that Ofono Opondo has said here happened to me, because the person who was contesting against me had the money. So he would go and hide the delegates, because we were about 350 who were supposed to participate in the party primary in Chadondo East. You look for them, you can't find them. They tell you they slept in a certain hotel, they are drinking, eating, for you don't have money. But I was only lucky that in the areas, especially in the areas of Nangaba, where Mzee Njuwa was, we had attracted very serious people. You find the families there, people you cannot go to booze and give money. So there are problems that you can't run away from a process, that because you think government will interfere in the process.
You have just told us here, our viewers, that it is us NRM who brought our bad manners in FDC leading to PPF now. The other day we had here, PFF. The other day we had here another person, I think it was the treasurer of NUP, who made the statement and said they can't hold open primary elections because they fear NRM will infiltrate them.
No,
now NRM is here for quite some time. For how long are you going to dodge holding
I have said,
elections?
When you brought your bad manners, some of us left. And I am saying in the party where I have gone, there will be democracy. Because everybody aspires for that.
But you might also go there. So, so where will you move?
No, it's going to be very difficult, because if you have robbers, you now put a fence. So we have put a fence.
So will you keep moving?
So you're saying NUP cannot raise
it was
state interference.
It was easier to infiltrate and interfere in the FDC. We have made it very difficult. You will find it very difficult to interfere with PFF. But the point for me, Simon, is that maybe selfishly, human beings cannot do self-regulation. The moment you leave it to parties to do self-regulation, write their constitution, abandon them, then we will stop building political parties as a national project. Part of the reason we pay, we fund activities of political parties, that these are public institutions, we are building them for Uganda. So someone must be able to enforce the standards. Say that a party doesn't say, for us, we are fearing NRM, therefore there will be no democracy. Say that the NRM doesn't misbehave and we just look on and say these are internal matters. So because selfishly, if I am in charge of a party and I don't want anyone to contest against me, I will behave like M7. I will say you must have been in the bush, your son must be an army commander. So you can put conditions that only protects you. So all parties, we must have national standards and make sure that every party plays by those standards.
Thank you. When you peep into the National Unity Platform, are their processes any better? Does NRM have anything to learn from how NUP gives out its flag bearers, rather its flags?
Well, for me, normally I refrain from commenting on an internal process of a political party where I do not subscribe. That's good for them. For us, NRM, as a mass party, the path we took of universal adult suffrage was perfect. We have also had complaints of members of our members who are being edged out in constituencies or in places where we are not popular. Like in Uganda, particularly I heard from somebody from Bwikwi was saying NUP supporters are registering in NRM and they go to vote for weaker candidates, weaker candidates at all levels. At all levels, you find literally when it is not competing against itself, and when they retract internally, they sort out themselves, and you find when they have taken the show. When it comes to that, then we will have to think twice. But as far as I'm concerned, NRM had, we were taking a good path. Where we are having it wrong is where we now allow these greedy persons at local level to mismanage the entire system, where we allow the RDCs, the DPCs to run the show, and they go scot-free. They even write reports.
You seem to be expecting angels to run your show.
No, I would not expect. That's why I told you, I expect at least 50% fairness. But if it goes to less than 50% fairness, I can't play in that game.
Well, we'll take a very short break, and when we return, we'll be looking at the outcome of the tribunal. To some legislators, their fate has already been sealed. Honorable Rujoki was declared after the tribunal had complaints from one of the disgruntled members. Did the tribunal do a good job? We'll be back.
NBS Frontline.
Catch me howling out to
Introducing the all-new GWM P300. Bring it on. Go with GWM.
Exclusively distributed by Double Q. Call us on 0700 111 000. Visit our showrooms at Busega and Old Port Bell Road, Bugor.
We all need light in this life, and at Lighting City, we make sure we light up your world in the way that you deserve, with the widest range of classy and unique selection from all over the world, with our customized products like Lighting City chandeliers, wall lights, Lighting City outdoor lights, spotlights and strip lights, bedside lamps, floor lights and garden lights. We also deal in electrical items like switches, electrical cables, and so much more. Find us in Kampala, 5th Street, Industrial Area, Chinese Business Hotel, opposite Mosque. Lighting City, the 21st century electrical and lighting store.
It's going to become a travel.
Amen, amen. Oh, Jesus.
That will advance the call of God.
Yes.
And the destiny over your life.
Amen, amen. Thank you, Jesus.
And while it is taking place, this left hand of yours, a ring will come. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Watch The Power of Prophecy with Prophet 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐢𝐛𝐞 this Saturday, 6:30 p.m. on NBS TV, Uganda.
Frontline.
Welcome back, and thank you for tuning in to the Frontline as we make sense of this thing called the party flag. Honorable Semuju, you would love to hear this from Honorable Oboth, the Minister of Defense.
That's my MP.
He says, kindly tell Honorable Semuju to focus on the PFF primaries and matters of Chira municipality, where he has failed to serve his people, but instead is being used as a mercenary to fight political wars. As a Minister of Defense, I did not use the chopper for party primaries as he alleged. A man cannot tolerate conflicts in his house or political party, and he will keep hopping from one to the other. NRM primaries, with all the challenges, is still better and credible political and democratic path worth emulating than any other party in Uganda, where they do voting by 2 or 3 people. PFF, where it is all about self-selection like an ATM. Political conflicts and disputes build parties and players. Why talk about both every time he finds an opportunity? Over to you, sir.
So do you want me to respond?
You message taken?
The clips of that chopper in his constituency, I will share those clips with him.
Maybe it was a military operation.
By the way, he raised it in Parliament, and he said since he's a Minister for Defense, he has access to all these equipment. That was his answer, arrogantly, in Parliament. But I don't live in his constituency.
And you're being used as a mercenary.
The clips, I did not record them. I wish I had known. I should have brought them here for the public to see. I am only interested in the people abusing. The last time I spoke about him, if he wants me to go back, was because as a Minister for Defense, he's the supervisor of 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐢𝐛𝐞 Kainerugaba, but he had invited him as a guest of honor. And I said that was irregular, that you can invite people you are supervising and then they are praising you as a good worker. I know it is very painful, and I sympathize with him that to go and work in that sector today is the most difficult job.
I want us to move on. Honorable Tinka, no, Honorable Saropendi, the tribunal has concluded its investigations and some people are already getting their verdict. Do you think there was anything worth writing home about this tribunal in just a matter of weeks? And don't you find it magical that going by the magnitude of complaints, they've been able to conclude in record time?
Well, I think for me it was a good thing to put the tribunal in place because either way, either before the tribunal or in an election, there must be a victor. There must be a winner. So people put up their case. I am very sure that the tribunal was not composed of one person. You would find some had, I think there were 3 in each. So I think they had the cases, and they have released their findings and recommendations based on what evidence was submitted before them. So it is better than having left the people who organized this election to be the one to hear their own case. It would have been worse. Because look at my case. I defeated my opponents with over 60,000 votes. The one who came next to me had 21,000. I had 79,000. But I was taken before the tribunal. Now, just imagine.
What was your experience in there?
No, for me, the experience was, yeah, I could see the tribunal engaging the petitioners, whether they think that by listening or attending to these few DRA forms that they brought, whether they would actually overturn my victory. That was good, and of course they were putting it to them, because the substantiality test is what they were looking at. You know, you can't come up with just a story and talk about maybe these DRA forms were not signed. Those are omissions that occur even in general elections, because you are not contesting. In my case, they were not contesting the results. They were not those 1,000 that he was talking about. You find a DRA form with 73 votes, which I got, or 151, which I got. Maybe they had 0, they had 2.
Or maybe they counted yours the 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐞 way.
No. We didn't have that. So they were not contesting the results. They were only saying this DRA form was not signed by a registrar.
That's an anomaly, isn't it?
Well,
you find it negligible because it favored you.
No, not necessarily. Because, you see, we are 12. So for a registrar to sit and begin writing 12 DRA forms is a bit of a challenge. So some of them initially write the names as they wait for the people to gather. And then after writing the names, when you have, for example, an agent, then they simply write the results. But those were few.
You tell us.
Those were few.
They had enough time.
So
they had, the election was between 10 to 2. From 2 to 4, the time we closed the polling station. What were these election officials doing? They could not write names in the 12 declaration forms?
No, I am talking about,
your case.
I have 1,000, my case. I have 1,386 villages. And these people brought less than, I think there were about, maybe look at about 60 DRA forms that were not signed. So even if you took off those 60 DRA forms, does it affect my victory?
Yeah, but
it doesn't.
Overall, do you think the tribunal,
yes.
3 people,
so
can be scientific to dig out everything, every mess?
Yeah, of course the time was short. And for me, it depends on case by case. Because some people simply wanted to petition, as the Honorable Fono Pondo said, they want to simply petition so that they can negotiate. Like, look at my case. What was the point? I didn't see. But there are also those who simply did that for personal reasons, maybe simply to have an audience with the winner, to negotiate, something like that. Or others even just petitioned for the sake of petitioning. It's also there. I had somebody who said, me, I know I'm not going to get it. I just petitioned just for just. So you can imagine somebody saying that. As we were seated there, I just petitioned just for just.
Does
so
it
that
buffer
my
you
opponent,
that the 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐞 and several others shunned this tribunal?
well, their case was a little complicated. Theirs, I think, it would require the tribunal to get to the ground maybe even interview people and that kind of thing. That's a different, it's a complicated case. And if what I read is to go by, because there are certain cases they said they would resolve, then if what I read in the media is correct, that there are certain cases that they would have to refer to SEC to make a decision. I don't know if that is true, but they are complicated. There are cases which are complicated, but there are those cases which can be resolved. For example, on the substantiality test. So the tribunal was not a waste of time. The tribunal for me was a good step, and I want to thank the chairman of the party for putting the tribunal in place.
There's been an argument that this tribunal is rather cosmetic and it's more to do with window dressing and offering comic relief.
No, but we have our own judicial system of justice. Don't people go there and after the outcome they say they are not satisfied, even after a year of hearing a case? So I think... And
the Court of Appeal is composed of 3 judges, sometimes
but the question should be, once you have a process that is likely to generate conflicts, do you have remedy to let people who are aggrieved appeal? I think for me, that's the main principle of the tribunal, of the reconciliation committees.
But it seemed to have been set up arbitrarily.
No, arbitrarily. Was it supposed to be appointed by you? That's provided for in our rules and regulations in the Constitution. There's a schedule, how you resolve conflicts in the party, whether administrative or election related. The fact that 346 people went there in under 5 days, because the rule is you must petition within 5 days after receiving the results. The fact that 346 people went there to complain, don't mind whether the complaints were frivolous, no substance, just vengeance. For me, that's a good thing. The beauty now is they are beginning to release their findings and verdicts. There are cases where they have retaliated and maintained the win. There are cases that they have overturned on account that you have found fiddling. There are cases where they have said, don't go for re-election, go and negotiate. Politically, since you are from the same family. There are cases where I want to believe, where they are going to overturn and say, it is inconclusive, go and organize another election. I would imagine so. So for me, that is the beauty of it, that you leave people, you offer, where even if Honorable Katinka said steaming, even that steaming is good. Last week I wrote an article and I said part of the role of the tribunal should be for the loser's bargain. So that somebody doesn't say, I have lost completely. I wanted to be an MP. Or I didn't go there to be an MP. When we were running in the NRM, in the premise of NRM, in the structure of NRM, there are people who came to my village and said, now that man has been just talking for Museveni, he must be having money. I will pick a nomination form for the post of who has picked.
That you can
so that he stands with you until the last hour. Now,
to name a price.
Yeah, he sends people to you. And how much is he looking for? 25,000, 20,000, 50,000. And they did that to me up to the district level. At every stage, he now withdraws. He says, now you're very good, I don't want to spoil your chance, now we should go and oppose. So he withdraws. Things like those. So this tribunal also is a loser's bargain. You give somebody an escape route. Somebody wanted to be an MP or wanted just to be known. There are people who think that Honorable Sarah Pendi will see the president and says, I want my person who had competed against me to be assistant RDC. By the way, when we were in Toro meeting the elders, there's a lady from Kudusad who said, can you imagine, Sarah has been defeating me, but she has never recommended me even to be a deputy RDC. Now, this tribunal is also a loser's bargain, and that's part of the political process. To me, it is a good thing. Now, you are talking about other parties. In the NRM, when we were writing the Constitution, I remember I had a big argument with the President and Honorable, the late Professor Sibambi. For me, I had taken the other old system of saying, let us have vetting at every stage. Even for you to apply to be a member, because I'd been in Tanzania, I said, let us have, you just don't wake up and say you are an NRM member. I said, can't we have a year where villagers, members monitor you? The president dismissed. He said, we are forming a mass party. Whoever says is NRM during the day and says is PFF in the night, don't bother about him. We should concentrate on what they say during the day in public. Today you have had argument. People are saying, how can you allow Honorable Thomas Tayebwa, who was the youth chairman of FDC, when he joins NRM and becomes now a speaker? Some people, they are finding a problem there. You have had them arguing, how can you allow Anita Mong, who came from FDC yesterday, to be a speaker and she's now running? But we took the line as NRM that we're a mass party. As long as somebody says, I am NRM during the day, it will be difficult for them in the day to tell other people that they are not NRM. And you have seen, look at Honorable Agrawori. Once he changed, even his UPC, the Busia there, they could not vote for him because they said, you have said you are NRM. Look at Honorable Omar Atubo. The moment he accepted to serve in our cabinet as lands minister, look at the trouble my brother Mao is going through. People now say, but you can't say you are the Minister of Justice in NRM and at the same time you're saying you are a DP. He has not recanted his DPship, but he's finding, and for us it serves us as NRM, that we take oath, because this NRM is a C. Even if you come as Mao DP, one person in that cabinet, how much are you going to change?
Thank you. Honorable 𝐬𝐿𝐵, and I must tell the viewers that now we're switching to Afro Mobile. Thank you for downloading this app. You can watch us by the palm. Yes.
NBS Frontline.
In their meetings that if a person is defeated by the whole constituency, even if he came back as independent, he will be defeated. Therefore, will not have independence.
If the defeat was unfair.
That was his...
in the case of Toro, by the way, apart from Sarah here, Oboth has been twice independent. Fox has been once independent. Recently, the last parliament we had in 𝐬𝐻𝐞, independent. Meaning, probably those defeats in the primaries were unfair.
So the main argument of Museveni was that he wanted to deal with independence. They had become a problem because he wanted everybody to be NRM. In this parliament, I think, I'm not sure, but the independent must be about 70. So he moved away from that to make sure that even if you stood as an independent, you will be defeated. So this was like a referendum. So the tribunal, that's why I say you need to understand the frame of Museveni. What was his frame? The Museveni of today does not want elections. He must make sure that elections don't happen. And I sympathize with those who went to the tribunal. I am very sure of the 320 petitions taken there, you may have like 2, 3, 4 referred to say, okay, maybe the one of 𝐸𝐻𝐾 and then you'll find a reason. They may repeat no election. Because even in this parliament, the 11th parliament, most of the cases that went to courts of law, I know Museveni never wanted the court to nullify. Actually, there's only one election that was nullified. Because Museveni is in a weaker position although Fonopondo claims that the mass party, all state parties will be mass, even the UPC was. I mean, as a child, we were waiting for
No, I'm not just claiming. We have written that in our constitution.
Yeah, it does not matter whether you have written it or not. But state parties, the Honorable Saro Pengi was generous here. When you are independent, where she, I mean, carefully, she didn't want to say that they will deploy the state against you, so she stopped at saying the president will come and so on and so forth. In our areas here, in urban centers, people who have become NRM candidates are doing so because they know the state will help them. And that's why an election in 𝐬𝐻𝐫, the High Court has said it should be repeated. Can you imagine being cheated? And after being cheated, court says that this election was not fair. And then so that level of madness, and Museveni was the one saying day one that there was cheating in 𝐬𝐻𝐫, we must go and repeat elections. So the tribunal, you must understand the purpose. If you look at the surface, you may think actually he wants to give justice to his people.
Was it windowed?
But Ofono, without saying so, it's just a process to allow people to recover, and then
vent and cool, come
back. And create a process that you at a show like this one, you will say at least there is a process. But I highly doubt there will be elections to be repeated. That's why they will find some cases, refer them to Museveni to meet these people, and then the others. That's why they said the results will be sent on email. And so because I don't think Museveni set up this tribunal to deal with this, because if you look at the standards that you know, they are concentrating on substantiality, because the elections can be nullified on technicalities, because any election must be free and fair. You don't have to go into the mathematics. Was this election free and fair? If it wasn't, then that election must be annulled. Like you saw even in Kenya, the election of 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐾 was nullified because it did not conform to the constitution. As simple as that.
No, but we are not running our NRM election according to Kenyan constitution. We are running our tribunal according to our internal NRM standards.
There are no internal NRM standards.
But we've had the elections, the
political parties in Uganda are managed under the Political Parties and Organizations Act. And the law says
Honorable but in the internal elections, we have not had any NRM person so far who has avoided the tribunal and ran to the Obunyidolo courts. But they are free to do so. But at least to the base of my knowledge, nobody has gone there.
No,
I
but
think
can I
they
also,
want to test the internal
can I also correct Honorable 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐾? We had elections in Kapcholo, where the registrar decided to simply announce the winners without going through the village by village and projecting as required. And those elections were put aside. They had to hold a re-election in Kapcholo.
In the hundreds.
Yeah. So
these ones that
now,
have come here.
the ones I'm talking, the ones that have come here have come to say I actually won, even where there was violence. For example, Honorable 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐾's case, he actually said he has his results.
It hasn't been determined.
Yes, he has his results, which show he won. So that's where the substantiality issue comes in. That show that, prove that you actually won. So these other issues in the NRM primaries where there was lining up, you must prove that
you were concluding on your point.
That you actually got
because you see
different.
First of all, what are the standards in NRM? You begin with the register. We had Bario Munsia who was missing, a candidate who was missing. Then we printed red. If you came to Chira, they were extracting names from the national register that they attempted to make everybody become NRM. And that's why almost nobody was standing up.
No, but you tell our viewers, what law does NRM offend if we use national data to extract our membership? Which law
do you find it right?
That is conscription.
Which law do we offend? Is there somebody who we picked from the National Voters Register who has raised the complaint that you have put me in your register, I am not. Do you have that person?
An election is a process. A credible register, you are here celebrating, maybe you have forgotten. That for the first time we have a credible register, you have just forgotten.
No.
Now after this election, you are saying that our register was done 3 days to election, that it has issues.
We have a register.
You are the one saying
first of all, for the first time we have a register. And a register which is more credible than the half which we used to have.
But you have
regardless of the...
Regardless.
You have said
we have national examination.
This register was finished 3 days to election.
We have national examination.
Tinka, you want to come in?
On the issue of the register, I told you what I think Honorable Semuju is describing is a situation of non-party members who feel they should even have their way within a political party. Like what I described, what is happening in Ibwikwe, it could happen even in Kampala here, where PFFU, for Honorable, it is not PFFU who only vote him. Even new people vote him, DP vote him. All those people choose to join a political party to make sure that they select a weaker candidate against Semuju, for him to sail through.
So you agree that NRM doesn't have a credible register?
We can have a credible register, but now who is using, the issue is who is using the register. Like for instance, in my constituency, what happened was Tango Doi sent a register, but because the system had organized something, they allowed the candidate I stood with to provide registers from NASA. They had a logo where it played, where they used it. And they knew this is an area where Tinka Simile has a huge support. They would delete more than half. You find a village that is having around 3,300 voters. It just has a pantry of 20 voters on the register.
Wasn't Tinka aware of all these anomalies?
No, I was aware, I even complained.
What I mean, okay.
I was even...
Wasn't Tango Doi, sorry.
I want to hear.
Wasn't Tango Doi aware of this?
I want to tell you what the returning officer told me. Take a picture of that register as if I was present, whereas I was represented at every village. That was not my role. That at every village I should carry a camera and start photographing the register. The other weakness that was there, NRM itself, because of the short time, they did not allow candidates to have the register. For us who accessed the actual register, to know the futures that were on this voters register, that's how we discovered that the village registrars used a register which was not from the national level, because of course they had been arranged that when we are going to deliver this, you will put it aside because the villagers don't know. All they need to see is the NRM logo. They are taking few names. You are not there. You are not there. You find more than half of the village. They are not in the register.
You were interrupted. I will give you a couple of minutes.
First of all, who is an NRM member? How is he? How is it? No, you see, you started by issuing party cards. I don't know how you abandoned that. Even that himself said give everybody for free. Because political parties are public.
Is that a problem?
It is. Because you see, your members don't become member by turning up on the day you are registering to register. They have qualification to be a member. What happened to the cards?
You apply.
You apply to be a member. For them, they were just...
You apply and you are entered in that register.
No, that is...
Why do you say no? You are not a member of NRM. I'm a member of NRM. I have been a
I don't have to be a member of NRM. NRM is a public institution.
You can say, what is true is that the process of our registration, our register, was compromised. Some minor, in some other cases, major interference. Like in the case of what he's talking about, where somebody has 2 books, but he decided to use the one from NASA. Now a villager doesn't know. Actually, our rules allow candidates and members to have access to the register, but at your cost. Now you can imagine in the case of a district, 123 villages. You will need pile and pile of pages. Now, many people cannot afford that. So you refuse to rely on what the register in the village.
Okay.
The point I am making is that even on the day of voting, even if people NRM don't know their NRM, that's why there was a registrar. Say, under your NRM, you enter and vote. I mean, how don't I know that I am NRM? And someone else is the one to tell me that you are also NRM, you enter.
Some places people were coming from other villages. They are not from
this
was
the national election register.
To be chaos that
the voters register.
Just
they are running.
I'm afraid we have to bring this to a wrap. And many thanks, my dear guests and frontliners. That's all we had for you tonight. Good night. We shall stay up as we await Besigye's judgment that's coming online. I think it's today. The judgment for Besigye's bail application.
It is tomorrow, Friday.
No,
okay.
We already today, yes.
The judge said that by 4.
So they're delivering it online?
By email.
By email?
Yeah.
Good night.
Providing injury analysis and pointing to a deliberate targeting of Palestinians trying to collect food. The nonprofit operates 2 healthcare centers in direct proximity to GHF sites, receiving more than 1,000 casualties within 7 weeks, a fraction of the total. An 8-year-old girl shot in the chest, a 5-year-old boy full of shrapnel with severe head trauma, a 14-year-old girl shot in the neck. A few of the many and mostly young victims.
I see the roads get busy. I hear the hollering and heckling. I see people on carts with bags of food. Then the injured begin arriving, almost at the same time. I have patients with gunshot wounds who are literally carried in on the same plastic bags they used to collect.